It's interesting when you look at it as a season, and then when you start looking at the individual, I'd say maybe the majority of the person who's, the majority of the people who might be listening to our podcast, if they're exercise, call themselves exercise fanatics, or if they love exercise, there really is no off season. I thought about you recently. A woman from a specific magazine calls me up and she's very nice words, and she wants me to write her a program, and she's with one of the major magazines. She's like, I want to implement some running into this. And I'm like, well, I'm not the one to talk to. Derek Hanson's the one to talk to, but she wants to implement some running work in with, her resistance training. So I said, can you lay out for me your program? I'd like to see your diet. I'm actually supposed to talk to her after this. I'd like to see, your training schedule. And she's like, I'm not saying this to insult her, I think she's like the hardest individual to work with. I feel like athletes are almost a little bit easier, because athletes, I'm like, all right, let's keep the goal.
It's a very narrow focus if you're an athlete.
Very narrow focus. Her right now, I'm almost kind of rolling my eyes, because I'm saying to myself, the only way you're going to quantify success is by how tired you are per workout. And I'm looking at her training regimen right now, and it's a lot of volume, man. I mean, this woman's doing, AM group training, PM group training, running out of work sometimes, doing 3-a-days. And she's doing like classes where they just beat the crap out of you. There's not to insult the classes, but like Tone House, and where they just want to bring you in and beat the living shit out of you. So right now I'm already out of the gate in kind of a tough situation, because I'm not saying everyone that I train, all the programs I do are for people specific to sport. They're not. But I'm having someone right now who's so used to quantifying success with leaving a workout puking, that anything I give her less than that is going to be, this isn't enough in the beginning. And I almost have to have a conversation with her and say, what is your goal here, to be tired? Because if your goal is to get tired after workout and just sweat, all right, then, you need to accept that these things can potentially happen. And rather than me almost shying away and saying I won't do it, these things will potentially happen. Like, are you really going to improve as much? But that's a lot of people out there who kind of dictate success from that same outcome, isn't it, Derek? I mean, you're working with runners; they want to run the fastest time. If I start running with you, and I'm a sprinter, and I come in and I run my fastest time training with you for the last 2 months, I'm going to listen to whatever the hell you tell me to do, right? But we were able to quantify that. How am I going to quantify success with this woman?
Yeah, like the two things that are the biggest things are, am I getting better, or am I running faster? And am I staying healthy? Am I not getting injured? And that's pretty simple. Like, that's pretty simple to manage. But yeah, if you have somebody who just wants to get their ass kicked in a group session, or like, does she have like weight loss goals or body composition, or
she's got good body composition. She has a good build on her. She writes for one of the fitness magazines, the health, beauty, fitness magazines, I can call it. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk to her today. She could say her goals are to get toned, get stronger, get in better shape. It's probably what I'm going to hear from her. But when someone's used to going and getting beat up that much, it's like anytime I talk to a guy on Wall Street who sits down and immediately, like, the first thing they go to are the glory days. I played college for Villanova or Princeton or, Harvard, and I used to do this, and that. And I'm like, all right, well, one, that was 30 years ago, so just because you were doing it doesn't necessarily mean it was the right thing to do. My college baseball player, who I love to death, won an NFL Super Bowl. My college baseball player. And he would run us 3 to 5 miles a day timed. A lot of people nowadays would probably argue that that was the best thing for a baseball player. Okay. Especially, a position player like myself. So just because I did that doesn't necessarily mean it's what I should have been doing, but they're quantifying their successful time in their life with that period in college. And they're like, so unless they get back to that point, they almost will never feel successful. Well, a lot of times they don't. So I think immediately they're coming into me or coming into you with this negative, this whole negative outlook on what they need to be doing again. Oh God, I can't do that again. That was 30 years ago. I was running 8 miles a day. I was lifting. I was able to recover. It's like, I can't do that again. So they're immediately in this negative outlook on what we're about to get them entering into. But, it's tough. It's tough working with someone like that. It's tough breaking them out of those habits. And, I'm sure you see the same in your world.
Do you ever have discussions about talking to people who are training hard now, whether it's an athlete or a fitness person, about like what do you think the effect is going to be 20 years or 30 years from now? Like if you're doing this ridiculous training, are you going to need a hip replacement? Are you going to need a knee replacement? I had a fellow who said, he'd been out of professional football for a couple of years, and a team asked him like, hey, we want you to come out and try out again. And he's about 30 years old. And I said, and I almost want to talk him out of it and talk about, well, you got to think about your future too, right? Like how are you going to, he tore his Achilles. That was the extent of it. Obviously he's been hit, but what if something worse happens now? And I don't think people think about what is the long-term implications of that activity that they're doing now.
Oh, no, you don't. I mean, listen, when I was 21 years old, I wasn't so focused on, mobility work or recovery. It wasn't a word that I ever really even thought about. I remember going to the gym and warming up with 225 on my back. It was just, my body felt fine. It wasn't an issue then. It was until you start having to face those issues to where you start saying to yourself, oh shit, I'm not bigger than the game here. This isn't, I can't beat this. I can't out-train this I can outsmart this, but it's going to be by taking a different approach. So yeah, I'll talk to people, especially Ben, Ben Bruno.
Yep.
He cracking me up the other day. He turned around and he said, I'm going to give you advice on how to do burpees correctly on one of his posts. And I already knew it coming because I know, no, he hates burpees. So he says, swipe left or swipe right, whatever you're looking, swipe. So he swipes, and it says on the text, the best way to do burpees is not to do burpees. He just kind of talks about it. He's like, listen, people out there can't even hold a plank. Like I would argue, and I would take maybe, and I would bet, military as well. I bet 90% of the people even performing a burpee isn't even performing it correctly. A lot of these guys I even see in the military who are trying to perform a push-up correctly are in extension. They're leaving their hips. There's so many things that they're doing that are incorrectly. Yeah, and I'll turn them. I'll be like, guys, you're going to get hurt. You're not doing it correctly, but you got to be willing to take that criticism also. It's like they come to you. If I come to you to learn about sprinting and I start arguing with you what you're telling me, then I don't really want to learn. And I think a lot of times people kind of get like that, especially I see it on social with questions that they're asking. Afterwards, I'm like, are you telling me or are you asking me for my opinion? Because you're asking me and then I'm trying to give you the answer. You don't like the answer I'm giving. And I can tell you don't like it. So don't ask me,
Yeah. Fitness, politics, and religion.
Exactly. But so I got to deal with. I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with this woman, and just I think have a little bit of a conversation with her and say, listen, this might be, how are we quantifying success? I think is how I got to start the conversation off with.
Well, do you think some people just get drawn up into like, oh, that's the new trend, or that's where everybody's going, and I got to be a part of that too?
Absolutely, they just want to, they want to get the crap kicked out of them. And it was funny. I was running a group of women from a publication recently through a group session, and it was really, not to pat myself on the back, it was like, during our warm up, somewhat of my screening, and I'm able to see how women move, and I'm immediately able to pick things out and get them into the training session. And we got them, everyone's moving the way they need to be moving. And, they were out of breath. They were a little tired. They were getting breaks. I could tell I wasn't killing them. It was like session number one. Like, we're not supposed to beat the crap out of them. But I almost saw what was coming. They're like, oh yeah, this isn't hard. This is no big deal. And I was like, you know what? So I put them on a relay race on the Versa Climber. I pair them up in teams of like 3. They have to compete. They have to complete 100 feet before they jump off, and then the next person can get on. Once the 100 feet's off, next person has to get on. And I made them get 3, whatever the number was. It was like the first team to 1,200 feet, 1,500 feet, whatever the number was. kind of wins. So now I put this fear in there, this competitive edge. They went through a few rounds of this. They honestly almost, I actually got not worried, but I was almost like, one of them was like keeled over. I thought she was going to vomit. And as they were walking out, they looked at me and they go, "That was the best workout we ever had." And I almost started laughing. I was like, because of the last 10 minutes, I'm thinking to myself, it wasn't because of the first 40. Because the first 40 to me was where all the magic happened. That's where, like, wow, we were able to establish some really good movement out of these women. We were able to get their heart rates up. We were training them at a good intensity. We were getting some really good quality strength in. Posturally, we were working on them, and they were moving great. But if I was to end the workout then, they would have said, "Oh, that was a really good workout." But the last 10 minutes put me on the platform of the best workout that they ever had. And to me, it's kind of depressing a little bit. So almost forcing me to not write routines for specific people, because you just don't know how they're going to quantify success.
Yeah, yeah, their perception. It's like in a boxing match where if you're busy in the last 10 seconds of the round, you could win the round, right? But regardless of what happened earlier.
Yeah, I guess that's
So,
a simple way of putting it.
so what I would do is we're going to do our little current events thing where I ask you questions based on topics that I've Googled.
I love it.
So you have no previous knowledge of any of these topics, so it's purely off the top of your head.
I have no previous knowledge, period.
Of anything. Yeah, I saw your water skiing pic though. That was nice.
Thank you, sir. That's living in the past. That's something I just miss doing it. I was looking at some of the pictures. It was fun.
So I have an article here. It says how to stay in shape while away from the gym during the summer. Now I know it gets a little less busy in the gym because people are on vacation and taking time off. And how do you advise people during this period to kind of keep things rolling?
I actually advise them to get out of the gym a little bit. A lot of my clients are out in the Hamptons, and a lot of times they're asking me, what gym should I join out there? And I tell them, it's pretty simple. Grab a kettlebell, bring a kettlebell to your house, or if you don't even have access to equipment, let's go on your front yard, your backyard. Let's run, skip, jump, just body weight squat, push-ups, planks, sprint some more, and let's just break a sweat and get our bodies moving. So, I'm really less about, if someone's not feeling like that full session, or they don't have time, or they don't want to be indoors and they're going to the beach, then I think kind of use the strengths of the area that you're going to. If you're going to the ocean, try surfing and paddleboarding all day in the ocean. Like, I just feel like that is phenomenal. Your body's going to get athletic. You're in the sun, you're in the salt water, all this great stuff that you probably don't have access to in the city. If you're at your beach house and you got a good front yard, and you can go out and do some sprint work, or do one of Derek Hanson's sprinting programs, like do that. That's just, especially people living in the city, because it's so different, it's so diverse. I think they'll feel that their bodies get really athletic. It's funny, when you get out of your routine, a lot of times people are so paranoid that they're going to fall out of the shape that they're in. And I even, I remember years ago when I went from doing a lot of bodybuilding training to doing just a lot more work, if it was work capacity or power training, or, just strength training, or whatever it might be, or sprint training, whatever it is, I didn't lose anything. Does that make sense? It's like, for the last 10 weeks, I hardly did any traditional lifting. I did a couple of complex lifts, did a lot of kettlebell work, did a lot of gymnastics work, did a lot of airdyne bike. And my body looked the same. I did no arms. It was like I wasn't working my biceps, triceps, and my strength was great, and I thought my body still looked really good. So I think it's just a lot of times we have a tough time getting out of our comfort zone. I think if people relaxed and went out and did a day of, body surfing, half a day of body surfing, they're going to realize they're going to feel muscles that they never actually felt in years.
Yeah, like we threw up a volleyball net, bought a volleyball net on Amazon, and we took the family out, challenged another family. And I was sore the next day because I don't play volleyball, right? But I'm diving on the ground and,
Look what we just talked. I mean, change your direction.
Yeah.
You're in the sun. You're probably barefooted. You're feeling the earth. There's all this positive stuff going on that, especially us living in the city, we start developing a disconnect to. It's, we're not, how often are we running around on the grass during the wintertime? We're not. So I almost prefer now. That's why I got my jungle gym out back. I'm finding myself going to the gym a lot less on weekends. I've got pull-up bar out there. I got some rings. I got a 50-foot rope. I got a kettlebell. I got a backyard that's probably about 350 feet long. It's flat. And man, I can really set up a nice little circuit back there where I feel great. I'm moving great and I'll be done in 20 minutes. So, for me to do something like that 10 years ago, and I've considered that a workout, I wouldn't have, because it wasn't like in my comfort zone and it wasn't the traditional things that I was always very accustomed to doing.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. I like that rope.
I love the rope.
It's like okay, the next one I have, this is a great one because I've been kind of following some of this stuff on political correctness, and
Oh
maybe
no.
we're all too sensitive these days. And
Yeah.
somebody wrote an article here. It said, we really need to stop complimenting people on weight loss, like, it looks like you've lost weight and you look better, good, you look so healthy, right? And so this person wrote a counter article about, we shouldn't be doing that, we shouldn't be shaming people for not losing weight or whatever. What do you think about this whole thing? Like, I mean, do you find that
Listen,
people are
I think
sensitive about that?
well, I think there's a little truth. I mean, I'm always trying to keep things positive. So if someone comes up to me and they're like, I lost 10 pounds, or if they're sending me their after picture, I'm proud of them because they made a positive change in their life. When I say positive change, I'm not just referring to as the weight loss as positive change, because sometimes it isn't. I'm referring to the fact that they started exercising. I'm referring to the fact they started eating better or eliminating things from their life that they were going overboard on. So, yeah, I mean, I'm probably victim to it too, because when someone reaches out to me and they show that to me, I'm reposting it and I'm giving them praise for it. But whoever passed that comment, I think there's a lot of truth to it, because weight loss does not always mean that you're getting into better health. It's like, I know some people that might be right on the spectrum of, being a little bit overweight, healthy, call it like healthy fat, call it what you want. But if they were going for a blood test, I've seen them come back where everything was stellar. Like hormones were optimal, testosterone, growth hormone, liver enzymes are great. Everything's perfect. So yeah, but that person doesn't necessarily look like the Board of Health. So yeah, I think it's wrong. I think if someone's losing weight from implementing very positive things into their life, like, oh, wow, Don, you know what? How'd you lose weight? You know what? I started sleeping an extra 2 hours a night, and I just lost 10 pounds after 3 months. Yeah, I'm going to say you look great. It's like, that was a very positive thing. Oh, well, unfortunately, I've been sticking my finger down my throat, and I've been starving myself, and I've been doing boatloads of cocaine because I hear it's a stimulant. I hear it's going to help me burn weight. All right, just because someone lost 10 pounds doesn't from that means that they're actually healthy. So, yeah, I agree with whoever past that comment to an extent, but I also want them to think about it and say, listen, if someone did a lot of positive things for their health and it related in 10 pounds of loss, then give them a pat on their back.
We should be posting our like blood work on Instagram. Like, oh, I just saw your blood profile. It's awesome.
It's unbelievable. God, your testosterone, your free testosterone, it's incredible. Unbelievable. It's like, we don't talk about that stuff. We're just, society is tough. I mean, we relate it to, how skinny people are, or how lean or how ripped, or look at bodybuilders, for instance. I mean, you look at a guy who's 3% body fat. Some people think that's healthy. It's not. It's like, oh, well, just because a guy is on the cover of Muscle and Fitness doesn't mean he's healthy. It could mean the complete opposite, especially if he's using steroids.
It's a manifestation of negative mental health.
Now it's like, now I'm also seeing the publications where they're starting to embrace the woman who's obese. Oh, great. I mean, I think we should all love ourselves, and I think we should, embrace other people. And, but now I'm starting to see them like take it. And they're like every pic is of someone who's struggling with weight loss. And I understand it. We want everyone to feel empowered, but I want people to be healthy. I don't necessarily want people to be skinny. My goal is for everyone to be healthy and high energy, vitality. I want their hormonal profile awesome. And you know what? If they look great doing it while they're accomplishing that, then that's awesome. But obesity isn't healthy. It's not. Like I'm working with a woman right now who is obese, and we're trying to get her out of that because this makes her feel terrible. It makes her feel terrible. She can't do the things in life that she wants to do. And we're working really hard to get her out of that. So, I also don't want to get to the point where we start, praising it like, okay, no, it's okay for us to be that way. No, we should be working on being healthy, not necessarily skinny.
There was an interesting article that I had looked at, or it was a news article, and they were talking about how airplane seats are bunched together closer now, and it actually there's a lobby group there that says it poses a safety risk because people aren't the same size, and you can't get people out of the plane
Agree.
as quickly because it's cramped and people are larger, right? So
Agree.
that's a safety issue.
It's definitely a safety issue. I think it's also, safety issue. I mean, I find it somewhat of a health issue. I mean, if you're on a 5, 6 hour flight and you've got to sit in that position, and someone is obese, I mean, there's things that can happen with blood clotting,
Hmm.
swelling. There's really unhealthy things that can happen when you're 30,000 feet in the air for that period of time. So I absolutely see it as a health and safety issue.
All right. This article says your fitness gym could be lying to you. So, what I guess this article is saying is that they're using measures to assess people's fitness or health, and saying, "Oh, you're not where you should be," and we're we that's why you have to join our comprehensive workout program because you don't fit into our assessment of a healthy individual. What do you think about what gyms are doing to assess people? What are some good assessments that people should be looking for if they
I'm
go to a gym?
Listen, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the FMS, the functional movement screening. I think first things first. Someone comes into the gym and there should be some type of I don't want to say background check, like we're going back 20 years here, but there should be some type of a health questionnaire that was filled out when the person comes in or before they came in for the coach to get familiar with what they're working on. It's like out of nowhere, you're meeting with a client and that client wants to exercise and the coach is looking down. It was like, oh wow, you just had triple bypass surgery and you've been under the needle, 3 times in the last 7 years, and you've got all these issues going on. All right, let's go run you through a screening and let's train you. I think that's a little irresponsible. I think, and I tell my team that when we get that questionnaire sent in or filled out, we need to look at it. We need to say, all right, is this something that we need to hand off? Is that where we're and I do this. I do this. I'll say 1 out of 10 times, 2 out of 10 times. I'll call up Charlie and I'll say, Charlie, I'd like you to screen this person. Like they've had a rough history. Charlie Weingroff, for people who don't know him, our physical therapist. But Charlie, I want you to screen this person. They're clear to train. There's a lot of red flags going on here. This person, the last several times she went in for training with someone outside of here, they got injured. And though I'm pretty confident with my ability to assess and screen, I also would like a medical involved to where he or she can give me a little bit of background on what's going on so I can go in there on day one and just be that much more successful. So yeah, I think the screening processes are really tough. I also think the way that a lot of these gyms or boutique clubs that are quantifying success, I feel is nonsense. Like you're seeing a lot of these heart rate based spots that are going in. They're like, well, we need you in the red zone today for 7 minutes or 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's just, and my question I've asked them when I've gone in shopping around, I said, well, how do you know if I'm coming in and I'm in the shape I'm in at 41 and you're getting someone coming in at the same shape, at the same weight. I'm 210 pounds. So someone at 6'1" at 210 pounds can very easily be very overweight. I mean, technically, if you looked at my weight on the chart at your general practitioner, I'm probably 35 pounds overweight.
Yeah.
Someone's ever going to tell me I'm overweight? The answer is no. So we can have me standing next to someone else who's the same height, the same weight. Does that mean our heart rates have to stay the same for the same period of time? So that to me is a little bit of nonsense. I've got no problem, going in for a group class and people are training in the music or they're racing each other and they're having fun and it's a quantifiable measure on that side. It's competitive. I have a problem with it when they do too much of it and it becomes 5, 6 days a week. But to answer your question, I think a lot of ways that we gauge success, I feel like the people who are actually doing the screenings don't have a clue.
How many of these fitness places? I mean, you guys are unique. How many fitness places have an actual physical therapist or a medical person on site?
The smarter people are doing it now. Like you'll see guys, like buddies in the city, Jeff Hallavy or Mark Fisher, or, some of the, I don't want to say the big box, some of the big box gyms have it. It's just not really built into part of their program. So if
Yeah.
you go to a place like Equinox and they have physical therapists, you know, you got 50 coaches at a location. They're not all going to be meshed and gelled together the way that I'm sure they would hope for it to be. I mean, it's just natural. My club, it's way easier because I've got, 9 or 10 coaches. I've got two physical therapists, an acupuncturist, and soon to be two nutritionists. So, we're really kind of tied into each other, and we
Hmm.
really know what's going on the floor. And it's fun for me because I can at any point call a physical therapist over to my training session if I see something going on with someone that I don't like.
Yeah.
So for me, that's special. That's something. If you're looking for, and I'm not selling my place here, but if you are someone, because it very well could sound like that I am, but even if you're not coming to Drive 495, if you're not in New York City, find a facility, find a mid-sized facility where you're not in there dealing with 500 trainers, and that the physical therapy department is really kind of meshed in with the training department, that they understand that the physical therapists understand about strength training and power training, and they get that. Yet the trainers or strength coaches know the importance of physical therapy and understand that, you know, I need Charlie or I need Kyle Balzer to help me out, um, give me insight to an area that I shouldn't be trying to take in my own hands, whether I know corrective exercise or not. The second that there's pain, I should not be dealing with that person. I should be referring out.
Yeah, and I like the idea that you just used as an example, like, hey, hey, come over here and check this out. Like, I just want to, check with you. It's sort of like spontaneous, and you can do that, right? And flexible.
I mean, listen, even with a non-physical therapist in there, I might turn to Cody, who knows a lot more about sprint training, or Derek, when you're in the gym, who knows more about sprint training than anyone I've ever met. And if my client's asking me questions on the treadmill, whether I know how to answer correctly or not, that's fine. I can tell them where hand position should be and how high the hand should be and how far down towards the pocket it should come, and how relaxed your face, all that stuff. Fine, but I'm still calling you over anyway. I'm still saying, listen, I'm going to give you what Derek has taught me, but I want you to ask him, go in depth with this guy right now because he's special. And I give them that full experience. Don't always try to be the jack of all trades. Show the environment that you work in that you're very humble and that you're open to include your whole entire team in there.
Yeah, great.
And it
Uh,
also, Derek, not to jump, but it also brings a familiarity to the floor. So now when I have someone coming into the gym that wants to work with me, but they've worked with Derek a bunch of times because I've asked you questions and brought you over, or Tiago or Cody, and out of nowhere, now the client knows all these people. Man, when I'm traveling, they're going to want to work with one of the guys I introduced them to. There's going to be that level of familiarity. So, there's so many bonuses.
yeah, it's just that sort of community team-based approach
I love
is something that's kind of rare, right? So,
it.
okay, so I got an article here. It says forward trainers show their home gym essentials. So if you are talking to somebody that wants to stock up their home with some things that they can do when they're not with you, what kind of things what kind
Oh
of
my God.
equipment would you prioritize?
I do this every week. I mean, obviously, space and cost is an issue, but if we're starting with the bare minimum, I'm going to tell them to get maybe a set of power blocks, which are adjustable dumbbells. I'm going to tell them to get some kettlebells, um, minimal stuff, a mat, maybe. I mean, at the bare minimum, you could start there. An
Mhm.
adjustable bench. I think that's like, man, you could do dumbbell work, kettlebell work, and you got a full gym there. You don't need anything, crazier. If you're someone who has a small room that you want to convert, again, the kettlebell rack, the power blocks, the adjustable bench. I might have them get like a half rack, which would have a pull-up station put on there. I put a pull-up bar in the first gym as well, but like a half rack, an Olympic bar, a trap bar. I mean, those are other some minimums. You can go get some really inexpensive pieces of cardio equipment. I love the new Schwinn Airdyne bikes; those are great, and they're really inexpensive. I think they run between $1,000 and $1,200. You can get that. You can get a ski erg. If you wanted to get a rower, you can get those three pieces right there for probably a little over $3,000. I mean, that's less than a treadmill. So there's a lot of things that you can get you get a lot of bang for your buck. A 50-foot rope that might cost you a couple $100, and that's tremendous. So I always like taking a less is more approach. I mean, every once in a while I'll have a client come to me and they'll say that we got a huge room, a couple 1,000 feet, and I got an unlimited expense book to use. So then it becomes fun because then we get a little cute with some of the equipment and kind of remove the monotony out of it. I know if I was to put a gym in, I'm going to put a barn in my backyard one day, and it'll be a full, it'll be a full blown gym. I'll have everything. I'll have Versa climbers. I'll have step mills. I'll have, Olympic platform. I'll have kettlebells all the way up to probably 48 kilos. Trap bar, deadlift bar, I'll have everything in there. But that's my life, and that's something that I enjoy doing. That would be my Ferrari. Most people would want to drive a sports car. I just want the Ferrari type gym. So I think it's to each his own. But the bare minimum, what I listed, is really all that you need.
Yeah, and it's something that can evolve over time and build out, right? So,
Keep adding
um,
pieces. I'm sure you've done that. Do you have a home gym?
well, yeah, like that's where I'm shooting. Like I got my power rack and I
Yeah.
got a platform, but I will say this: it is a lot harder to work out at home than it is to go somewhere and work out. So, you're like, oh, geez, you're in here. I could quit at any time and go to the fridge, but yeah.
Right. There's also the escape of going to the gym. I like the experience. I drove in from the Hamptons today, and I just wanted to do some cardio, and I was gonna go. I'm gonna get some track work on Thursday, so letting that hamstring heal a little bit more, and I'm gonna start back doing that stuff. But um, just getting into the gym environment, seeing other people, throwing your headphones on, the escape. Not taking calls, emails. Just I think it's magic.
Okay, so one of the most popular requests on Google questions is, how do I get a six pack, Don? I want a six pack.
Uh,
I don't think anyone's ever said that you don't have any idea what a six pack looks like. So,
No, and, I'm not going to tell you that ab training is irrelevant, because there was a period of my life where I did train my abs a decent amount. I never really trained them. I never went overboard with them. And to be honest with you, I've never really done crunches in my life. Like, I played around with them a couple times early on, or it just wasn't something that I ever really did. But when I'm getting ready for a shoot and I need them to pop a little bit more, when you train them for a few months, you definitely feel like you can touch your abs and you can feel how rigid and blocky they are.
mhm.
Just like if you stop training your legs or your chest or your biceps, that you probably would feel a little less hardness out of that area. So, but to think by training abs is going to give you better abs, there's so many other things that have to happen. Your diet has to be good. I think you got to be doing really good compound lifts. I feel like doing some form of a squat or some form of a deadlift, whether it's a barbell, trap bar, kettlebell, is irrelevant. But I feel like this requires so much more energy out of your system. And there's some of I call them fat burning exercises, because man, you do an 8x8 on a squat on 30 seconds rest with a heavy load, you're going to be dripping like you were outside doing sprints. So I also feel like sometimes people want to get away from that really hard training. That's gonna, it's difficult. It's going to give you abs. I mean, you look at some of the sprinters some of the best sprinters in the world. God, if they took their shirt off, they can go on the cover of a fitness magazine. Are they doing abs for days? Now, someone would ask me, well, why not just do abs? What's the big deal? The problem I have with overdoing abs is that, what ends up happening to your hip flexors and what happens to your back. And when I train abs a lot, or in the past when I would do that a lot, it would affect my squat, my deadlift, and it would affect my posture. And it was just something where I was like, you know what? I need those lifts to be really dialed in and really smooth. And I don't want them to start suffering because I'm just doing abs 4 or 5 days a week. Well, if I do, certain actors I worked with used to train abs an hour a day before we even worked out. And then later on was suffering from specific injuries,
Mhm.
hernias, etc. This is all tied in, people. Like there is a cost to doing business. Training causes a stress. And when we hit that fine line of overstaying our welcome, and you do that for a long period of time, it can cause long-term problems.
Yeah, yeah. So, if somebody said, "Hey, Don, what is the ab exercise that I should be doing if I were to do like a focus on those muscles?"
All right.
Put you
I
on the spot.
know what you're asking. I like hanging leg raises, hanging knee raises, working on grip, hanging from a pull-up bar. Um, I like turning it, like, planks are good movements. Granted, someone's really creating tension in the plank. The 5-minute plank, I think, is useless. I think going down there and trying to create as much tension as you can for 10 to 20 seconds in a plank, as if someone was trying to push you over, awesome. Um, uh, any type of squatting movement, double kettlebell squats, Frankenstein squats, front squats, your abs, deadlifting, the best, some of the best ab movements you're going to do. So, if you have a good diet and you get those lifts strong and you're underneath those loads, your abs are going to be really acting. It's like why I don't want people wearing a weight belt. I want their abs to
Hmm.
practice their weight belts. So
Hmm.
get those lifts strong.
Okay, I got a couple more for you here. I
Sure.
know you're a busy guy.
So are you.
It's, there's a lot of emphasis, like in all the searches I've done on fitness, everybody's talking about like fitness apps, like, oh, what app should you have to guide your fitness? And um, I think there's a little app-itis out there where people rely on these things. And I know you do a lot of stuff on social media, and there's some apps that you work with. What's your advice to people when they're saying, "Hey, Don, do I need an app, or how should I use it, or what would be good for my purposes?"
Some of the apps now are tremendous because for a very low price, you're getting your program and you're getting customer service. And it's almost like we have like my app called Playbook. I'm not just patting ourselves on the back here. I think it's phenomenal. The fact that someone can live right now in Wichita, Australia, Alaska, and download an app for $9.99 a month and get my programs written out with customer support, I think is amazing. And exercises, people don't, a lot of times people struggle. How do I know if the form's good? Do it the way that I'm doing it. Well, I think I am, but I'm not sure. Take a video of it and direct message us at the app if you're a subscriber, and then we can critique them. So for me, that's great because you know what? There's not, unfortunately, people aren't really too sure. I mean, it's not their job to know what's good and what's not good. But now with some of the apps, I think it's getting easier. Not like anything else. There's great trainers and there's terrible trainers. There's good apps and there's really bad apps out there. So I think you gotta find a coach. I think the thing that I tell people to do is that you have influencers out there and you have coaches. An influencer is someone who just kind of develops a following and they influence people. It doesn't really mean that they were a coach. Derek, how many years did you coach for?
Like 30.
30 years. So, and you specialized in sprinting, running, correct? I mean, this
Hmm.
is, and you've worked under some of the best coaches. So you've spent 30 plus years of your life getting great at your craft. I've spent over 20 years of my life trying to get great at my craft. I wasn't someone who just at 21, 22 had 10 million followers and said, well, this is what works for me. So it works for you. So I think people have to start researching the apps and actually looking at the bios of these coaches and seeing, does this person have a resume or not? If it's Kino Body and the guy's, whatever, 24 years old, 25 years old, I'm using him as an example, and he never actually has trained people, and he never actually had to, deal with different people, different personalities, and doesn't actually know why, doing an overhead snatch for time isn't a good thing, you know, but people out there don't know that. They see him with a good body. So they say, all right, the hell with it. I'm just going to follow him. So there's a lot of great apps, but I think it could also become a weapon if they don't know what to look for.
Yeah, no, I think it all comes back to some of those other things you were talking about in terms of just, keeping it simple, having some exercises that stress you out in the right way.
Yep.
Um, Now, you touched on this whole idea of just the people that you work with, the personal trainer that you choose, or the gym that you choose, about being professional. This is my last one here. It's kind of out of left field, but the question is, it was the dailymail.com says, "Is my personal trainer trying to steal my husband?" So I guess this woman's husband has a female personal trainer, and they're texting back and forth, and this woman's getting a little paranoid. And how do you keep it professional? I mean, you have some close relationships with the people you work with, and
First things first. I mean, I think coaches have to, I think a lot of the coaches out there, they think they're becoming best friends with their clients. You hear it every time. Listen, I have clients of mine that I've spent, 10 years with 3 to 5 days a week. I mean, the only person I spend more time with there is my wife, my kids. You get pretty close to these people. But I think there's really got to be a rule that a coach lives by. I think they have to understand and remember that they're getting paid to do a job. And the second they start crossing that line, they're doing the client an injustice. And I know, as much as I love my clients and they love me, if I was not being professional, not handling myself the way I needed to handle, it would annoy them because they expect a specific product out of me. So I think a few things. One, to the woman asking that question about her husband, if she's not trusting her husband, then maybe she has issues. She should be able to trust her husband because, they're married and That's what it's about. So if she's not trusting her husband, that could be an issue lying with herself. But if her husband and another female trainer are going back and forth text late at night, there's also like a level of, what are you guys texting about? Are you friends going back and forth? Or is it like, hey, I'm having a problem with my 11, with our 9 a.m. tomorrow. Can you make it 9:30? Different issue there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting. Like I know you work with a lot of what people would call like extremely famous celebrities, and you were talking about balancing that off, and it's really weird because I think some of these athletes and celebrities, it's hard for them to have real friends too because you don't know if people are trying to get something out of them or I mean, what's your experience with that?
You know, yeah, I mean, I've been blessed. I mean, I have a very good relationship with all of them, but I also think it's because I treat them like a normal person. So I think when a celebrity's used to being in the spotlight 24/7 and everyone around them isn't treating them like a normal person, or they're treating them like a character in a movie that they saw them in. I think it gets tough for the celebrity because they're like, wait a second, no, I'm not the superhero in Avengers. I'm Rick. I'm Jim. I'm Samantha. Like they're a normal person. So I think when they're used to being around people and those individuals' perception are a certain way about that celebrity or actor, yeah, I think it makes it a little bit weird for the celebrity. And they're kind of, they're not working right now. I think they want to, when they get out of a role, they want to be out of a role and they want to live a normal life. I mean, I love that line that God, what's her name? One of the most famous, Meryl Streep. Someone asked her for her autograph on the street, and she says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm not working right now." Right? So some people would look at that and say, "Well, why didn't she just give the autograph?" I don't blame Meryl for not giving her the autograph. Like this woman, I couldn't imagine what she probably goes through. She probably can't walk anywhere without a camera, without an autograph, without someone coming up to them saying, "Oh, I loved you," and so and so. And though seems very sweet and seems very harmless, I wish more people would respect the privacy of these people out there because you know I don't know. It's just this is what they signed up for. Not necessarily. They signed up to be an actor. They signed up to be great at their craft and be able to be in movies. And not all of them signed up to where they want to go walk around every second with their kids. And some people are taking pictures of their children, reposting them on social tabloids. Not really what they signed up for. So, you know, forgot your question. No,
I never understood the autograph too. Like, here's a napkin. Can you sign your? And you're like, you got a signature that you can barely read on a
I have
napkin.
one of my rants there. So yeah, no, I mean, listen, I mean, same thing with you. The reason why the celebrities that you've worked with really love you is because you treat them like they're a normal person and you are there. It sounds funny, but you're there treating them as a friend or treating them as their client and trying to help them accomplish a goal. It's probably why I've been very good at what I've always done is because the second, I don't care how famous someone is, I just come into that environment and I see them as a person. I don't see them as the celebrity that won 3 Oscars. I'm just like, all right, how can I help you? Like I'm here to be a problem solver for you. How can I? What do you need right now? Well, I got to cut weight for this role. I got to put weight on for this role. You know what? Things have slipped out of my fingers a little bit lately because I've had some time off. I'm not feeling too good about myself. And you hear someone famous talk about themselves not feeling confident, you realize, wow, they're a normal human being. So this is all private information. I would never give you names, but you try and sit there and you try and deliver a solution for them, and you try and be a shoulder for them to be able to express themselves and understand that they're going to have their good and bad days. And I think if you do that, you've got a great client and a great friend for a long time.
Do you ever call them out? You ever like, hey, come on, you got to step it up?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Only if they're complaining. So but think about this. Like if someone's coming to me and they're a couple pounds overweight, but they're healthy, like what we were just talking about, or if they're a little overweight, but they're really truly healthy and they're happy and they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm not abusing alcohol, Don. I'm probably going out drinking one night a week. And desserts, no, I don't eat any processed foods. And do I have desserts? Yeah, I have desserts one night a week. And I don't do drugs and I sleep 8-9 hours a night. And I feel great. Are you happy with your body? Yeah, I'm pretty happy with my body. I'm pretty like, okay, great. We're there. Well, do you want to make any change? Not really. I'm training to feel good. Like I've had those conversations also where people are very content and I'm like, all right, keep doing what we're doing. Or how about this? I think we can even improve things a little bit more. without adding any more stress to your life. Meaning we don't have to change a lot. Can we do this, this, and this? And they're like, yeah, let's go for it. Great. The problem I have is when someone's like, all right, I know I've screwed up and I'm complaining like, why isn't this working? I'm like, well, you ate dessert 7 nights out of 7 last week, or you drank, 10 bottles of wine in a week. Like, I'm not a miracle worker here. Like this, like either you want my help or you not want my help. Because I'm being honest with you, you're probably better off, blah, blah, blah. I'm just kind of bullshitting them a little bit, like go somewhere else. And they always have a good laugh about that. But yeah, I mean, you gotta put something into this, all these quick programs and routines, like you still got to show up. You still got to show up and you still got to put some time in. So don't forget that.
One final question. Have you gone out to see Sicario 2? Because I know you know Benicio and Josh.
I do, and I have not. Sorry, guys. I
Uh,
will. I'll probably go see it. My wife's been gone, and I'm kind of weird. She's like my movie partner, so
sure.
I'll probably either go to the movies with her, or to be honest, a lot of times we just wait for them to come out on demand. Which what's better than watching a movie on your couch?
Yep.
Pretty awesome. So we'll typically do that. But I'm bummed because Billions is over right now, which is my favorite show. I think Ballers is starting up, which I'm psyched to see. What's your favorite show, by the way?
I was watching Westworld. I was into Westworld. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, it's like Jurassic Park meets some sort of robot thing where
Interesting.
yeah.
So you like all that sci-fi stuff?
It's cool. It's cool, like just the way they present it, and Anthony Hopkins is in it, and they've got some good actors, and they always keep you kind of guessing, which it's very, very intelligent. I think the couple that does it is what's his name? What's the Nolan? Christopher Nolan's brother, Jonathan
Oh,
Nolan, and his wife. Her name is I think it's uh, Linda Joy or something. But they're a couple, and they do all the writing and producing and all that. So it's pretty interesting. It's a very intelligent kind of show. So
you know what I just saw? I saw the documentary Bolt.
oh, okay,
Did you see that yet?
I haven't seen that. No.
Pretty. The guy's just a freak. But I was laughing about it because who was his competitor from the U.S.? Justin Gatlin?
Yep.
Was it Gatlin?
Yep.
But there was 2 times that he said Gatlin like kind of really fueled him to win. One time he was like in it, he was talking about like not coming back, and Gatlin. Then he saw him on the air like I'm number one and blah blah blah. And then he came back early. And Gatlin ended up beating him though in his last race or something like
I
that.
think so in the last one. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So, but yeah, the good thing about Sicario 2 is that the way it goes is you're like, okay, there's going to be a Sicario 3. So they'll have, Benicio, Josh, and hopefully Emily too. So
I think Emily's back, and I hope Emily's back in that. I was disappointed to hear that she wasn't in the second one because I thought she was awesome in the first.
yep.
Obviously, I'm a fan. She's been a great client. She's a great.
Nice.
But thanks, my man.